I'm working on my 2006 Scion XB. The air conditioning compressor went out of it. I was driving it the other day. It sounded like it had a bearing that was dry. It was growling pretty loudly. It eventually locked up on my way home and killed the motor. But as I was told, those are designed to break free to where you can actually drive them the rest of the way home. Originally I was going to try to just replace the clutch, and in further investigation I decided to go ahead and go with the whole compressor. So since I couldn't find videos on the internet, I decided to make my own. About halfway through the repair here, I've got everything apart. Started off taking off the shield on the very bottom. I believe those were number 10 metric bolts. That dropped that loose to where I was able to access the point for the compressor, which is just below the alternator. So the compressor goes right there where those 4 bolts are missing. You take the 2 lines loose. I believe those are also number 10 metric, and then number 12 metric for the 4 bolts on the compressor. You should actually take your alternator bracket loose to relieve the tension off of the belt, but I took mine apart without doing this yet. I'll have to go back and loosen that up to be able to put the compressor back in place. My local parts store sold me the compressor with the oil they sold and everything. It was like $412. That came with a 2-year warranty. I've decided now to go ahead and replace the condenser as well as the expansion valve, because replacing those 2 items gives me a lifetime warranty on the compressor. So I had to take the front bumper loose to get the condenser loose. Basically it was a series of number 10 bolts that went across the top, a few across the bottom, a couple inside the wheel well. There wasn't a whole lot. It took me out maybe 10 minutes to take the front bumper off. And then the bolt for the condenser was this thing here that just screws into there. It's got this little nipple on the end, and then it goes down into the mount of the condensing coil. There was supposed to be 2 of those. My vehicle had been wrecked, so the guy that repaired it actually just had a zip tie on this one, so that's probably how it's going to go back. And then on the bottom end there's just 2 little holes, and it has these little rubber grommets that just sit in there, so there's nothing to take it loose on the bottom. There was 2 number 10 bolts there that took the other lines loose. Here's one of them. And there's the other one. Now the expansion valve is about a $40 part. By the way, the condenser was $120. Expansion valve is $40. This is what actually prompted me to make the video, because what I found on the internet told me to take the dash completely apart, and that was actually for a Scion TC, because I didn't find anything at all for the XB. And in further investigating, I was looking at these clips that they said that had to come apart with a special tool, and it looked like the valve was right behind it to me. So I went ahead and took this Allen head bolt out that was right there between those 2 bolt lines, and there were 2 more bolts that actually went through the middle of this expansion valve, and that's all that held that on. A little bit of prying back and forth just with my bare hands, and it came right out. So that's where it goes on to, and it was very easy and saved me a lot of time just taking that bolt loose, since I already had the lines vacuumed out and everything. All the Freon's already gone out of it, so I didn't figure I was going to hurt anything to take those 3 out. So that's how I got that out of there. Now I've got to wait for the expansion valve from the parts store and the evaporator coil, which actually is going to be tomorrow before I can actually get that in. But like I said, I've been looking for videos and information on how to get these apart on the XB, and there really isn't anything out there. So I'm going to put this up, and hopefully you can help somebody else out that's got the same problem, save them some money, because this is a very expensive repair to take it to a shop. I'll try to post a video with it all done, or maybe even going back together when I get my parts. Later.